Hello everyone, Sabino Gomez here, and we are going to do a risk management assessment for CityView's emergency action plan in the event that an emergency occurs in our baseball and softball fields. I chose these facilities because I am least familiar with them, so I created a risk assessment tool to assess the EAP as well as these facilities. Okay, to begin with, we're going to talk about where EMS arrives. Okay, as they come in, we'll have 2 spots for a couple coaches to stand and direct EMS services as they go down to our athletic facilities. Before we get more in depth about our baseball and softball fields, I want to talk about a few things, not all, but just a few that I did to assess the facilities and the emergency action plan, as well as who I met with to get some more information and generate my report. Just a reminder that I did create an assessment tool prior to this video. This video is just going to cover out some of the points and recommendations that I did, that I wrote out on my report as well as on my assessment. So here we're just going to enter our field house, okay? This is where I meet with my supervisor quite a lot, specifically regarding my practicum, okay? In here is my athletic director or supervisor's office, okay? As you can see, he's in his chair doing some paperwork. We'll come over here. Excuse me. In here, we've got our training room, athletic training room, okay? These 2 rooms are where I did lots of my meetings to get some answers. Okay, we've got our AED and some emergency equipment. I'll talk about why those are there, as well as where they can be in regards to our baseball and softball fields. Now we're going to continue on with our assessment. So as we come to the right of the field house, we notice an entrance that takes us to the baseball and softball fields. We'll have a couple coaches standing in these areas so that emergency medical services can come in. So we'll have a total of 4 coaches directing EMS, just because of how far and how deep our baseball fields are from CityView Drive. I met with my supervisor quite a few times to discuss some of the issues we've had in regards to how far away our baseball and softball fields. They're not really issues. It's just, there are just some problems that can happen in the event of an emergency in these fields. So let's get to the fields. All right, so as we enter our baseball and softball fields, you notice there's kind of a bland entrance. Nothing wrong with that. I do have some recommendations, however, on how we can improve this entrance. One of the biggest ones are possibly or potentially adding some signs there, and maybe on top of that railing. Just letting people know some safety procedures, some emergency action plans in the event of an emergency, and maybe even an exit sign. So as we enter in between our baseball and softball fields, notice our very nice baseball field to the left. Okay, this is where the audience typically enters from. We've got our wonderful softball fields to the right. Our concession stand and press box are up there. So here's another look at our baseball field. One of my recommendations had to do with the safety of our audience, so I'm going to focus on that for a bit. I recommended having one exit as the safest place for the audience to exit the facilities in the event of a mass emergency. My report suggested that we practice some drills or go through some exercises so everyone understands their role because my assessment tool marked that we do not conduct any drills at these facilities, and I know from experience. As we walked towards our football field, I suggested having one coach stand over here, another one stand over here, directing traffic to our exit, which I suggested being over there. Adding an exit sign would be a great idea as well. This walkway behind our football stands has a ton of electrical equipment, which could be dangerous, and this other one over here leads to a dead end. I also recommended attaching an AED in the walls of our dugouts, which are located all over the place, as well as maybe a fire extinguisher and some other equipment that might be needed. The reason for that is because of how far the closest AED is, which is the one I showed earlier in the video. That one's located way past our field. It would take a staff member a very long time to get any equipment. This walkway leads to the recommended exit. So those are some of the main points I covered in my report using the assessment tool I created to help me assess the softball and baseball fields, as well as parts of the emergency action plan that talk about these facilities. I would love some feedback from my peers as well as my faculty supervisors. Thank you very much.